Live from ABC7, this is Eyewitness News at 8 p.m. on LA56.
Triple-digit temperatures across Southern California today. The sizzling September is breaking records.
Hurricane Odile comes ashore, leaving a trail of damage in its path. Cleanup is underway while looters take advantage of the destruction.
One NFL star speaks out about the child abuse charge against him, while another is set to appeal his suspension for domestic violence. Good evening. I'm Mark Brown, in for David Ono.
And I'm Colleen Sullivan. Welcome to Eyewitness News on LA56. We have complete team coverage on the record-breaking heat. Meteorologist Jonathan Novak has been tracking the scorching temperatures all day, but we begin with Eyewitness News reporter Alex Michelson, who is live in Los Feliz, where it's 92 degrees right now. Alex.
It is 8 o'clock at night. It is 92 degrees. No, we are not in Palm Springs. We're in Los Feliz. Not stopping some people from playing soccer behind us, many of them doing it without a shirt. Somebody who's grown up here, lived here their whole life, I can tell you, this is about as hot as it gets. Temperatures in the triple digits mean one thing for speedy heating and air conditioning repairmen.
It's going to be a lot of calls. Forget about going out, take the kids anywhere, get to work.
It was 92 degrees inside this house in San Fernando they were working on around 5:30 p.m. At the same time, it was 93 degrees in Van Nuys. Some are still choosing to exercise outside, but it was tougher than normal.
Too much. Just make sure to hydrate, stay in the shade.
I have children and they have asthma, and it's just very unhealthy and unbearable.
Temperatures were well above the triple digits in the IE.
By the time it gets over 95, they can take it someplace else.
Perhaps the best job today? Delivering ice.
More orders than we could keep up with. We move thousands and thousands of pounds every day.
Dorian Glasser says inside North Hollywood Ice Company, it's well below freezing.
If you hear the freezer when it's 113 degrees out, it's pretty nice.
Meanwhile, the AC repair crew is planning on working well past midnight. Customers are grateful to see them.
Happy the when they see us and smiling when we leave.
Although you're not smiling if you don't have AC right now. If you're stuck outside, there's really only one thing you can do. Finally, some relief. Reporting live from Los Feliz, Alex Michelson, ABC7, Eyewitness News.
All right. Looks like the bottled water challenge. Alex, I bet that felt pretty good. Jonathan Novak is here right now. He's going to take a first look at our weather in the 8 o'clock hour. Jonathan.
Yeah, that's the one way to do it, I guess, right there as you're outside. Just to give you an idea, today a record in Woodland Hills, 107, beating the record of 106 back in 1989. 113 at Thermal tied the previous record, which is still the record, 113 back in 2000. It was amazingly hot today. 95 still in Burbank. Light winds, humidity is low. Temperatures around the area are looking very similar no matter where you go. You have 90s from Riverside to Ontario up to Palmdale and over to Van Nuys. At the coast, you're just under 80 in Santa Monica, and you're at 86 in Long Beach. Still 103 in Palm Springs past 8 p.m. at night. All right, so when we put it together, we've got a lot going on the watches and warnings page. First of all, the excessive heat warning goes through tomorrow for LA and Ventura County for the valley areas. On top of that, the red flag warning in effect extended through tomorrow for increased fire danger, wildfires, and the heat advisory for the OC and for the IE. Now, off to the right of your screen here, this is a flash flood watch. Now, it's way off to the east, but it looks like that is an indicator that as we go through the next few days, the moisture will be returning. Now, that won't feel good, but it will feed into some rain chances later on in the forecast. I'll tell you more about that. We're at 92. That's actually by noontime tomorrow afternoon. Another hot one. I'll tell you when it cools down and more on that rain coming up in a few minutes.
Okay, Jonathan, thank you.
You're welcome.
Someone was trying to keep rodents out of a vegetable garden, and that is believed to be the reason for a big brush fire that's burning in Silverado Canyon. The fire was sparked on Friday and has since burned nearly 970 acres. Authorities say the resident was putting up metal sheeting when the sun reflected off the metal onto the grass and wood border, igniting the flames. Fire crews have made big progress battling this fire. It's now 80% contained. People who live in the area are returning home now that all evacuation orders have been lifted. Thousands of acres are still burning in El Dorado County. That's about 60 miles east of Sacramento, forcing hundreds from their homes. Firefighters are battling the King Fire on the ground, and helicopters are dropping water, hoping to make a dent in it. As of now, 3,900 acres have burned, and the fire is only 10% contained. Vegetation conditions in the area are extremely dry because of the drought.
Now turning to Hurricane Odile, the storm left a trail of damage in its wake after coming ashore near Cabo San Lucas, Mexico. Odile is now a Category 1 hurricane and is expected to weaken to a tropical storm soon. A rough night for Mexico's Baja Peninsula. Odile makes landfall as a strong Category 3 hurricane. Waves battering the resort town of Los Cabos.
The storms were intense outside. You could hear the wind roaring. You could hear stuff knocking into the doors.
Winds up to 110 miles blew out walls of windows in this hotel. Hurricane-force winds churning up deadly surf and torrential rains and knocking out power and phone service. As the area cleans up the damage left behind from Odile, some people are seen looting stores with handfuls of stolen goods. Mexican authorities set up emergency shelters to hold up to 30,000 people, many of them American tourists.
I thought it's part of the building falling off. The vibration was really intense on the building. It felt like earthquakes.
A number of Americans tried to escape the storm and headed to the airport before it hit, only to find out there were no outgoing flights. Emergency officials reported that 135 people were treated for minor injuries from flying glass or falling objects, but there were no serious injuries or deaths reported.
Even though Hurricane Odile is weakening, the effects of Hurricane Marie are still being felt here in Southern California. Waves from that storm damaged the breakwaters protecting coastal areas near Long Beach. This can be dangerous because waves can get through, especially when there's big surf. Without a fully functional structure, there's more movement in the harbor, causing docked ships to rock. Some lines were also broken, making it harder to move large containers from ships.
We don't believe there's really any cause for concern. That being said, storms are completely unpredictable, but we did see the largest amount of wave activity that we've seen in our history, and our crews were able to protect the residents from any damage.
The repairs will be costly, with some estimates starting at $20 million. The process of hiring contractors is just getting underway. State
Senator Roderick Wright has resigned from office. That follows his sentencing last week to 3 months in LA County jail for lying about where he lived when he ran for office. The Inglewood Democrat was convicted of perjury in January. The 62-year-old's resignation is effective 1 week from today. A San Bernardino County high school employee is behind bars tonight accused of having sex with 2 minors. Amy Bramlett has been placed on administrative leave as program specialist at Indian Springs High School in San Bernardino. One of her alleged victims is a 17-year-old former student at the high school. The other is a 16-year-old boy. Investigators are trying to determine if there are any additional victims. Bramlett is scheduled to appear in court tomorrow.
Possible new fallout in the Adrian Peterson investigation. Tonight, investigators are looking into a report that the football star hit another one of his 4-year-old children, leaving him with a scar on his head. His attorney late tonight is denying that charge. Meantime, tonight Peterson is breaking his silence after being indicted for allegedly hitting a child with a tree branch, or sawed-off tree branch, or trimmed tree branch called a switch. Here's ABC's Ryan Smith.
Tonight, the Minnesota Vikings welcoming back their embattled star Adrian Peterson just 3 days after he was arrested on child abuse charges, announcing he will now play in Sunday's game.
Based on the extensive information that we have right now and what we know about Adrian, not only as a person, but what he has also done for this community, we believe he deserves to play while the legal process plays out.
Peterson, seen here in this smiling mugshot, is charged with hitting his 4-year-old son with a tree branch, causing welts and bruises. Today, he says, no one can understand the hurt that I feel for my son and for the harm I caused him. I am not a perfect parent, but I am, without a doubt, not a child abuser. Peterson, one of the NFL's biggest stars, earning over $11 million a year. So popular, he was featured on a Wheaties box.
If the Vikings want to let the facts play themselves out and give Adrian Peterson due process, as they put it, that's totally up to them. But if it was me, I wouldn't be doing it.
Yet another crisis for the NFL. Today, Ravens star Ray Rice, seen on tape punching his wife, will appeal his indefinite suspension. Commissioner Roger Goodell, meantime, an invisible man, canceling appearances. Today, the NFL appointing 3 women to serve as senior advisors on domestic violence, one of them a former top Manhattan sex crimes prosecutor. In a memo, Roger Goodell saying they will help lead and shape the NFL's policies. The NFL appointed a vice president of social responsibility to oversee the effort, also a woman, perhaps a nod to the 93 million women who watch NFL football. Ryan Smith, ABC News, New York.
LA Dodgers fans finally have a new option for watching games. Time Warner Cable has reached a deal to air the last 6 regular season games right here on KDOC. Eyewitness News reporter Melissa McBride has reaction from fans.
When the Dodgers take on the Giants at home next week, millions of fans will be able to watch the games from the comfort of their living rooms. Time Warner Cable will broadcast the final week of Dodger games on LA56, KDOC TV, and Sportsnet LA. It's a goodwill gesture by the cable provider as the Dodgers try to clinch the National League West Division title.
It should have been done at the beginning of the season. I mean, everyone could have watched like Clayton Kershaw, the way he's pitching, he's going to win the Cy Young MVP, but a lot of people miss that.
Many Dodger fans have had to cheer on the team at sports bars because Time Warner is the only distributor that offers Sportsnet LA. The Dodgers signed an $8 billion 25-year deal to create their own channel with Time Warner Sports. But DirecTV, Dish, Fios, Uverse, Charter, and Cox don't carry the channel. That left more than 70% of the LA market unable to watch the Dodgers from home.
I don't have Time Warner Cable, and I'm very upset that I haven't been able to watch the games. It stressed me out so much that I haven't been able to watch the games.
Beginning September 22nd, you can watch the games either on Sportsnet LA or LA56 KDOC. That includes the 3-game series against the Giants at Dodger Stadium, September 22nd through the 24th, and at home against the Rockies, September 26th through the 28th. Time Warner Cable released this statement today, quote, Time Warner Cable is part of this community, and we're Dodger fans too. Angelinos love their Dodgers, and we're happy to give them a way to watch their beloved team during this pennant chase, end quote.
I mean, it's nice, right? It's nice that you get to see it, last 6 games, but really, the last 6 games, too little, too late.
Melissa McBride, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
And again, the first game you'll be able to watch here on KDOC will take place September 22nd, exactly 1 week from today.
Right. Up next, experts keeping an eye on a type of mosquito now being spotted here in Southern California.
New details on a bug that may not just affect you, but could also have a serious impact on your pets.
Plus, the mysterious virus striking children. It has now spread to 27 states. It's California next.
And what's left of this California surfers board after an attack by a great white shark? terrifying moments for a California man knocked off his surfboard by a great white shark. Bo Browning says he was surfing about 50 yards from shore at Manresa Beach this weekend when a 15-foot great white shark knocked him off his board.
Caught my second wave and barely got into it, and out of nowhere I was popped into the air by probably like 10-15 feet, and I looked down and saw a shark roll over on my board, and I think took a bite on the way down.
Ooh, Browning was still tethered to his board, so when the shark started swimming, it pulled him underwater for a few seconds. Incredibly, Browning was not injured, but his board unusable. He says he doesn't blame the shark. It was just following its natural instincts.
So I guess you can cross that off one of the ways you want to cool off maybe this weekend in that part of California.
AC is my choice.
Yes.
And Alex's idea of the water over the head, another good option. You know, we talk about the common sense things that you got to do when it's this hot out. You know, we remind you, but it's common sense stuff to stay hydrated, try to stay inside or head in the water. But people, still sometimes we report on these stories of people leaving pets or animals in their hot car. To kind of get the point across a little bit more, I shot this video for you, and check this out. We always tell you to play it safe. Don't, of course, leave kids or animals in the car. But just to bring it home for you, we put this thermometer from the studio where it was 65 degrees in this car less than a half hour ago. Temperatures are already over 120 degrees in this car. Enough to take a credit card and melt it in just a few minutes. Yeah, so guys, that was going from 65 degrees in about 20 minutes up to 120 in a car. It doesn't take more than a couple of minutes, really, for that to happen. Another thing, again, we know don't leave pets, don't leave kids in the car, but not even for a minute, really. It's a dangerous situation the next couple of days with temperatures like these, what we had today, still for Tuesday and even into Wednesday. Burbank was 105 today, Palm Springs 111, Simi Valley 100. Wow, it was toasty. No records in downtown LA. It was 94, still very hot and well above the normal of 83. And the temperatures in the morning were even really warm, 10 degrees above average. 87 right now in downtown. Long Beach, 86 currently, and a lot of 90s to go around. 91 in Edwards and Victorville, 90 in Palmdale, 103 Palm Springs. These are your current temperatures. 95 from Burbank to Van Nuys, not lower 90s. I mean, it's just a toasty evening. It will lead into what will be another very sizzling Tuesday. All right, let's look at the watches and warnings. Still a red flag warning in effect through Tuesday at 9 p.m. That's an increased risk of wildfires. The excessive heat warning through Tuesday night. Heat advisory for the OC and the IE through Tuesday night. This is a flash flood watch that's off to the east of us that should probably, we'll see how things play out with the rain chances, probably get pushed in to the Big Bear area over the next couple of days. And let me set everything up for you in the atmosphere and what's going on. High pressure is our weather maker, our troublemaker, creating this heat over the last several days. And for another couple of days, we have a big trough of low pressure off to the west. We'll finally make progress over the next 48 hours or so, and that will help to cool things off a little bit. Now, in the meantime, what is now Tropical Storm Odile, as of the last few minutes, the latest numbers coming down, winds dropping to 65 miles an hour, still a heavy rainmaker and flooding for Baja. This moisture will get pulled up into our area as we go in through, I'd say the Wednesday, but really Wednesday, Thursday time frame. We've got a couple of days of this moisture hanging around before that trough of low pressure pushes the moisture away. So let me show you the pattern here in the future scan. Here's Odile, here's that ridge of high pressure, and there's the trough off to the west. This is Tuesday. We're still under the influence of high pressure, another scorcher. Wednesday, things cool a little bit. We've got moisture moving into the area. We'll have additional cloud cover, it looks like. That'll keep things cooler, but with the additional moisture, that will make things feel more humid. So it's a trade-off. Finally, as we go in through Thursday, the rain chances play out. We've got a few showers and storms, and it looks like that will hopefully cool things off, and we have an onshore flow. By Friday, things are back to average. So tonight, excessive heat, clear, warm. There you go. Temperatures in the triple digits for most of us tomorrow. 106 Northridge, Santa Clarita, 103 in Glendale, 102 Covina, and 95 in Los Angeles. About the same as you saw today. 7-day forecast, LA Metro and Orange County. Tomorrow and Wednesday, very hot. We cool down a little bit Thursday. We're going to keep LA dry. and warm into the weekend. Back to average, actually. Valley's IE, 2 more days of triple-digit heat before you're back in the 90s Thursday and Friday. The rain chances are best in the mountains, especially Wednesday and Thursday. Potentially some flash flooding by then, with temps dropping to around 70 by Thursday. In the high desert, you're finally getting back below 100 degrees by Wednesday, but still pretty hot. A slight chance of a couple of showers. We'll have the latest on this forecast, and I got more numbers for you for the high temperatures that we had today in other places coming up in a few minutes.
Okay, Jonathan, thank you. Vector control officials in the San Gabriel Valley are warning about an Australian mosquito that can transmit viruses to humans. They call it the Ozzy-Mozzie, and it can also lead to heartworm in dogs. The virus has been discovered at homes in Monterey Park and Montebello. They're believed to be the first reported cases of the mosquito-borne disease in Southern California.
At this time, we don't think it's going to be that big of risk. In Australia, this mosquito is very widespread, and it is capable of transmitting several viruses. Fortunately for us, none of those viruses have been seen in LA County.
It's not clear how the Ozzy-Mozzies landed in Southern California. Vector control experts say they usually bite their victims when it's light outside.
A mysterious virus striking American children is growing by the day. There are now confirmed or suspected cases in 27 states. It's now in the northeast United States, and we get more on the health threat from Dr. Richard Besser.
The most serious cases end up in the intensive care unit.
Tell me about the kids in the ICU. What kind of problems were they having?
Mostly respiratory, either respiratory failure, respiratory distress, cough, wheezing, congestion. We're having a hard time treating these children as well with our normal therapies.
Enterovirus 68 has arrived in the Northeast. Today at Brooklyn's Maimonides Hospital.
How long are children waiting?
It could vary anywhere between 3 hours and 20 hours.
20 hours.
It starts like any other viral cold, with a runny nose and a cough. But this one can take a turn. Wheezing children can't catch a breath. We watched the ER at St. Louis Children's Hospital fill, even bringing in a mobile unit to meet demand.
Having trouble breathing?
Yes, I started at 6 o'clock this morning.
Children with asthma, particularly at risk.
Give me a big deep breath.
Doctors don't know yet how many of their patients have enterovirus 68, but they know that parents are getting the message. If a child is having trouble breathing, see a doctor right away.
This virus clearly is continuing to spread, but for most children, it acts like a normal cold. Just know those danger signs and seek treatment if you see them. Dr. Richard Besser, ABC News, New York.
Still ahead, a new treatment option for many California children who have autism.
Plus, how the clothing chain Urban Outfitters is explaining this sweatshirt that appears to allude to a bloody massacre of college students by the National Guard.
And special honors today for officers who carried out heroic acts during the Santa Monica College shooting rampage. Stay with us.
Today, as many as 75,000 children with autism whose families are on Medi-Cal are now eligible to receive a major behavioral treatment. The hard-won benefit championed by autism advocates means that Medi-Cal covered children with autism will now be able to get a treatment called ABA, and that stands for Applied Behavior Analysis, an early intensive treatment. ABA can cost up to $70,000 a year, which often puts it out of reach for families without comprehensive insurance coverage. Many parents have described ABA as life-altering for their children with autism.
Clothing retailer Urban Outfitters is coming under intense criticism for a sweatshirt many people say is astonishingly in bad taste. It's a faux vintage sweatshirt with the logo of Kent State University and splatters that resemble bloodstains. Kent State was the scene of a national tragedy in 1970 when 4 college students were shot and killed by Ohio National Guardsmen during a Vietnam War protest. Urban Outfitters has apologized but denies that it was making reference to the shootings and claims the stains are just discoloration. The sweatshirt appears to have been removed from the company's website.
Britain's Prince Harry turns 30 today, and it could be a very lucrative birthday for him. Harry and his brother William were left more than $11 million in the will of their late mother, Princess Diana, but they were not allowed to access the money until they turned 25 and could not ask for their full shares until they turned 30, which for Harry is now. Some financial experts think the $11 million may have doubled since Diana's death in 1997. Harry currently earns between $70,000 and $84,000 a year as a captain in the British Army.
We are updating the evening's top stories next at 8:30, including an update on our dangerous heat wave. Will more temperature records fall tomorrow, and how long will this last?
And oil under a local community, but not the kind of oil that makes you rich. Hear from residents who say the oil is contaminated and making them sick, and they've had enough.
Live from ABC7, This is Eyewitness News at 8:30 p.m. on LA56.
Our top story at 8:30, record-breaking heat here in Southern California. I'm Colleen Sullivan.
I'm Mark Brown in for David Ono. This is Eyewitness News at 8:30 on LA56. We saw triple-digit temperatures in several cities, and it looks like there won't be any relief tomorrow. Heat warnings are in effect in many areas, and the fire danger is also very high. People flock to the beach trying to beat this September sizzler.
Hurricane Odile blazed a path of destruction through Mexico's Baja California peninsula. About 30,000 tourists are being put up temporarily in shelters while Los Cabos International Airport remains closed. Officials say 135 people have been treated for minor injuries, but so far no deaths have been reported. Odile has now been downgraded to a tropical storm.
Now back to our heat. Jonathan Novak is here with a first check of our forecast.
And we're going to talk about how Odile might affect our forecast in the extended a little bit later, but temperatures today 108. Riverside tied the record of 108 back in 1917. Camarillo 90 tied the previous record, 90 back in 2012. It was hot. It is still hot tonight. Plenty of 90s to go around Southern California. Even 103 in Palm Springs, 94 Santa Clarita, 93 in Van Nuys and in Oxnard. Here we go. We're in Ontario. Day later tomorrow, 73 to start you off, 81 by 9 and 92 by noontime. Sizzling once again, folks. When does it cool down? I will tell you that and the rain chances in the 7-day forecast coming up in a few.
All right, Jonathan, thank you. State parks across California are feeling the effects of our drought. It's not only having an impact on the greenery. As Eyewitness News reporter Sid Garcia found out, the drought is also changing how visitors bathe and use the restroom.
Will Rogers State Park is known for its polo field. It is showing the effects of the drought. Watering this historic field has been cut by 40%.
We do it in more of a smart way, meaning that we'll do it early in the morning where it has an opportunity to soak into the ground and to capture more of the water as possible. But if you can see around the edges here, we do have, we've reduced the irrigation around the edges.
The picnic area is getting no water at all. In fact, water usage has been cut at every single state park. Some don't have running water, period. At state-run campgrounds, that means no water for showers or flush toilets. Instead, people will be roughing it with porta potties.
Whatever we can do and wherever we can save and have more for the future, because it's going to run out if we don't kind of protect ourselves.
Now, one of the reasons why people come to visit the state parks is to simply be surrounded by lush greenery. But as you can see with the water cutbacks, that's not the case anymore.
Well, it's still a beautiful place, but obviously if you have a family and you want to sit on the grass, it's not the best place to come. But, I think we have to cut. I think it's mandatory, it's necessary.
If you do head to a state park, it won't be completely dry. The water for drinking fountains will stay on, but officials say it's better if you bring your own to help the parks and the state conserve. Reporting from Will Rogers State Park, Sid Garcia, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
More than a year after a murder in Artesia, a reward is being offered for information leading to the suspect. Authorities are searching for 19-year-old Boren Lay. They believe he fatally shot 19-year-old Timothy Teopaco in a restaurant parking lot in July of 2013. The LA County Board of Supervisors has approved a $10,000 reward to help find Lay. He's described as 5 feet 9 inches tall, about 135 pounds, with black hair and brown eyes. If you have information that can help investigators, call LA Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-TIPS, 1-800-222-8477. A judge has ruled that Jill Kelly can move ahead with her lawsuit against the government tied to the scandal involving former CIA head David Petraeus. Kelly says the FBI and the Department of Defense violated her privacy by leaking information about her to the news media. In 2012, Kelly complained to the FBI that someone was sending her harassing emails. That set off an investigation that led to Paula Broadwell, the Petraeus biographer who had had an affair with him. In the ensuing coverage of the Petraeus scandal, Kelly's name and some of the emails were made public.
Officials say several countries have made clear public commitments to back U.S.-led efforts against ISIS, but plans remain vague. The White House says the picture may become clearer when the president heads to the annual meeting of the General Assembly next week. ABC's Karen Travers has more.
The Obama administration is trying to rally a coordinated international effort against ISIS.
We believe that this is a priority. The President believes it's important to strike while the iron is hot here.
Secretary of State John Kerry met with foreign ministers in Paris today, working to build support for a fight against the extremist group. The administration says that several Arab nations have offered to launch airstrikes against ISIS, but it's unclear what an international coalition will look like and who would do what. One nation not getting on board, Iran. The supreme leader there said his government will not join a U.S.-led effort against ISIS, warning the U.S. could face the same problems it did in Iraq over the past 10 years.
I think it was always unlikely that Iran would become a fully fledged member of the coalition.
Congress may act this week on President Obama's plan to support moderate Syrian rebels fighting ISIS. Many Republicans are backing the White House.
We ought to give the president what he's asking for.
Some Democrats are more reluctant.
It's Congress that declares war, Congress that initiates war.
The White House says the president can launch airstrikes in Syria without congressional approval, but his request for authorization and funding to train Syrian rebels is sparking controversy.
We're going to pick a side or try to pick a side, and the same as we did when we went into Iraq, same as we've done in Afghanistan, and that hasn't worked well for us.
General John Allen is leading the administration's efforts to coordinate international partners in a push against ISIS. He'll brief President Obama tomorrow at the White House. Karen Travers, ABC News, Washington.
Another deadly day in eastern Ukraine where shelling killed 6 people and wounded 15 others. Despite a ceasefire deal between Ukrainian troops and pro-Russian rebels, fighting continues in some areas with neighborhoods caught in the crossfire. Here's a look at one town left in shambles 2 weeks after a Russian tank showed up. Residents are trying to clean up the debris and rebuild their lives. A hospital and many homes are in ruins. Many say they had to take refuge in basements of a kindergarten during the fighting.
Special honors today for 7 local law enforcement officers. They were presented with a Medal of Valor in Sacramento. Governor Jerry Brown gave out the awards for acts of heroism above and beyond the call of duty. 4 of the recipients are from the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department for their role in the standoff with Christopher Dorner. 1 from Santa Monica College Police and 2 from the Santa Monica Police Department were recognized for their work in the shooting rampage at Santa Monica College. And 6 members of the LAX Airport Police were honored for ending the TSA officer shooting.
You're going off adrenaline and you don't have time to think, so you revert to your training. Very honored and happy.
Also honored today, a member of the Shasta County Sheriff's Department who rescued a driver who had crashed into Lake Shasta.
Carson City leaders say a oil plan to clean up contaminated neighborhood falls short of meeting their approval. Now they're asking the water board to reject it. Eyewitness News reporter Carlos Granda has the latest from homeowners in the carousel track who are worried this fight could drag on for years.
It's very frustrating. You know, everybody has cancer and stuff, and they don't care about the people.
Jose Lopez has lived in the carousel development for 30 years, and he's worried about what's underneath his property. Oil contamination, just a few feet below the surface. Even a simple plumbing job becomes serious.
I had to have some work done, and, you know, you have to have special people come out and get your dirt and take it away. Then you have to go get new dirt to bring in. So it's a hassle, yeah.
Shell kept 3 storage tanks here from the 1920s to the 1960s. After they were shut down, these 285 homes were built. Attorneys say dangerous contaminants are seeping through.
Some of the tests of benzene are 100,000 times those permitted by the law. You would imagine that if you're really a good company, your PR would be, hey, there was a problem there, we did the right thing for those people.
The Water Quality Control Board ordered Shell to come up with a cleanup plan. The city of Carson doesn't like the latest offer and is asking the board to reject it.
They only want to do the minimum. They only want to do remediating the soil that's currently open grass area. They don't want to remediate underneath any concrete or asphalt.
Shell sold the property to a developer and in a statement told us today the developer assumed the responsibility to dismantle the reservoirs and properly handle residual wastes to ensure that the site was safe for residential housing. However, the developers buried the concrete reservoir floors and sidewalls and developed the neighborhood.
I think that's probably what they're planning. Everybody get tired and leave and don't worry about paying them anything.
But you're not going to?
No. Well, You can't. Who am I going to sell it to?
The attorneys in the case do not believe this is going to be resolved very quickly. They expect it will drag into next year. Reporting from Carson, I'm Carlos Granda, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Up next, why you may be getting a refund from the DMV.
And new protests against the possible use of drones by local law enforcement.
Some California drivers may be getting a refund from the Department of Motor Vehicles. The California Board of Equalization says the DMV has been using zip codes instead of actual addresses to come up with vehicle registration fees. However, tax rates can differ within the same zip code, which means some car buyers are being overcharged on their sales tax when registering their cars. If you think you may be owed a refund, you can fill out a form at your local DMV office.
The use of drones for law enforcement surveillance has many people concerned about their privacy. There's new legislation designed to limit the use of drones, but some fear it doesn't do enough. Eyewitness News reporter Marcota Robles was at a protest today.
Protesters gathered outside Los Angeles City Hall once again this morning to show their opposition to Assembly Bill 1327, also known as the Drone Privacy Protection Act of 2014.
This bill makes it has no value at all because we reject the drones under all circumstances.
Both the Assembly and State Senate passed the bill, and it's currently on the governor's desk awaiting his signature. According to its authors, the bill will include restrictions for government agencies. Law enforcement would need to get a warrant before conducting aerial surveillance, but that does not provide much comfort to Karen Benton.
I personally believe that the presence of drones and the idea of drones and the idea of watchers from the sky will only increase tension on the ground.
This reaction on the same day the LA Police Commission announced 2 drones from the Seattle Police Department have arrived in Los Angeles. Neither drone will fly anytime soon. Both are being stored while the policy surrounding their operation is reviewed.
And no one can touch them. So the question is now, will they ever be used?
The president of the police commission says any serious discussion is still 6 months away and public meetings will be held.
Anything that saves an officer's life or saves somebody in the public's life without hurting other people is as good as it gets.
As for AB 1327, if it's signed into law, state and local agencies would need to publicly announce their intent to purchase and use drones, and any data received from drones would be destroyed after a set period of time. Still,
this group has its concerns.
When there's tension and fear on the ground, people do get violent.
The Federal Aviation Administration has been mandated to authorize and integrate drones into our airspace by the year 2015. Now, according to the bill's author, it's estimated that 20,000 drones will fill our nation's skies in the next decade. Reporting from downtown Los Angeles, I'm Mark Cotarovelis, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Another hot evening. What will the morning bring? Meteorologist Jonathan Novak has his complete forecast up next.
Plus, the Angels look to do something they haven't done since 2009. We'll tell you what that is ahead in sports.
And they've got great weather, beautiful beaches, but life may not be as perfect as it seems in one coastal city.
A fierce wind-driven fire in Northern California is forcing hundreds of people out of their homes tonight. The tiny town of Weed near the Oregon border is under siege by flames that have already destroyed or damaged 100 homes and burned a church to the ground. At least 1,500 people have been forced to evacuate. More than 800 firefighters are on the fire lines. The fire broke out this afternoon. At last check, it was 15% contained.
Well, we are all talking about it right now. It is so hot outside. We are hoping for some relief. Jonathan, when is relief coming our way?
You got to get through a couple of days, and then even then it's still kind of warm. Just a footnote on that last story. What's interesting is we don't have a lot of winds outside, but yet we still have a red flag warning in place because of the extreme heat by itself in place. And one other note, those winds hopefully will be the same system that's going to be cooling us down soon. So there you go. Van Nuys 107 today, Ojai 106. 2 degrees cooler than you were yesterday, so take that. Chino 108, 91 Lake Arrowhead. Those are your high temperatures today. Tomorrow going to be about the same. 64 right now. Big Bear, good evening to you. That's comfortable. 91 though in Riverside still, and we're approaching 9 p.m. 93 again. Van Nuys 103. Palm Springs. I mean, it's just a sizzler tonight. 93 Ontario and 86 still right now at Long Beach. Okay, we got a lot going on the watches and warnings page because of the heat, the fire danger, and the potential for rain down the road. First of all, we have a red flag warning still in place through Tuesday at 9 p.m. for portions of LA and Ventura counties. Also, an excessive heat warning that's been in place will continue through tomorrow night for LA and Ventura counties in the valley areas. OCIE heat advisory through Tuesday night as well. So right there, you get the idea. By Tuesday night, things start changing. And when they do, we'll start talking rain, potentially. So we have this flash flood watch in the Morongo Basin from Wednesday through Thursday. Okay, so that's when we start seeing the shift, late Tuesday into Wednesday. And here's why. First of all, let's talk about real quickly Tropical Storm Odile. Now a tropical storm, big rainmaker for portions of Baja and northern Mexico. Winds of 65, moving to the north-northwest at 13. That moisture is going to eventually move into our area. Until then, we get another day with high pressure right over us, barreling down, bringing those scorching temperatures. Here's that system that I was just making mention of, the winds in portions of Northern California up to the Pacific Northwest. That will make movement to the east, shove that high over enough by Wednesday that we'll start seeing a little bit of a cool down. However, moisture from Odile will be streaming in by then, and with the additional moisture in the air, it's going to still feel very hot on Wednesday. But we could see some rain by then as well. So there you go. A lot going on. Excessive heat tonight, clear, warm, 74 at the beaches, 83 in the low desert, 76 in the valleys. When you start off with temperatures like that in the morning, well, we're going to spike them up in the afternoon. 104 Fillmore and Ojai, 95 Los Angeles, 106 in Northridge, Ontario. Riverside, 107, same in Lake Elsinore, 102 in Temecula. 70 forecast, LA Metro and Orange County. Powered up by AccuWeather tonight. 94 tomorrow, 93 on Wednesday. A little bit of a cool down. I told you that. But look at the tropical clouds. So that's going to help keep us cooler. But again, you also get that moisture associated with it, so it's still going to feel pretty warm. Thursday, finally, we're back into the 80s, and then we have a much cooler, more pleasant weekend ahead. A few showers possible in the mountains, but we're going to keep it out of the valleys and the IE. Triple digits for 2 more days. You're down to 90 finally by Friday. The mountains, maybe some storms Wednesday and Thursday. Slow-moving storms. That means the potential for flash flooding on Wednesday and Thursday. That's a problem there. And then the high desert, looking hot with a slight chance of rain Wednesday and Thursday. Stay cool out there. Dallas has more on ABC7 at 11.
Okay, Jonathan, thank you very much. Let's do some sports now. It's been 5 long years since the Angels sniffed the postseason, but a win tonight against Seattle at the Big A would clinch at least a wild card spot for the Halos. Right now, it's in the 5th inning. We'll have your full highlights on Eyewitness News at 11 p.m. Dodgers in Colorado looking to push their magic number down to 5. Top of the first, Matt Kemp using the high altitude to his advantage. First pitch he sees on the night. It's deposited in the right field seats. Dodgers take a 2-zip lead, but after the Rocks tied it at 2, Adrian Gonzalez unties it with a double down the right field line, bringing in D. Gordon. Once again, Colorado tied it up, but Blue unloaded in the 6th, putting up 8 runs in this inning. The Dodgers have scored 32 runs in 3 games. Arizona helping out with a big lead against San Francisco. Dodgers lead in the 8th in Colorado 11-3. The AVP Beach Volleyball Tour makes its last stop in the Southland this weekend in Huntington Beach. Kerry Walsh Jennings and April Ross hope to make a clean sweep of the beach volleyball season, already going a perfect 6 for 6. They took home gold back in July, beating a tough Brazilian team. So what motivates the Olympians coming into the last stop of the season?
I think the winning drives us for sure, but we've had great success in the AVP this year. We want to keep that up. That's why today's so great. We're playing domestic teams and an international team and using both balls. So this is a great tune-up for this weekend in Huntington, and we want to keep up the role that we've been on.
We want to be the best in the world, and we want to win until we're winning every tournament. Like, I don't think we'll be satisfied. So I think if you're a professional athlete, that's your mindset.
Win every time. That's what you try to do. And even at this, an international sport starting to make its way to the States, it's bubble soccer. Just what it sounds like, played much like classic soccer on the same field. Has one big difference: players are wrapped in giant inflatable plastic suits. Organizers say it's 1 part soccer, 1 part pillow fight, 1 part slapstick comedy.
Definitely. Well, what's the matter with Santa Monica? That's what city officials want to know after Santa Monica ranks 2nd on a list of America's most stressed out suburbs. Now the city has won $1 million grant to find out what has everyone so stressed out. Eyewitness News reporter Rob Hayes decided to find out for himself.
Sunny skies, green parks, and beautiful beaches. It's no wonder many folks consider Santa Monica to be an ideal home.
It's a beautiful place. I would love to be able to live here.
But hold on. Real estate website Movoto has found just the opposite. It ranks Santa Monica as the second most stressful suburb in America.
What? Stressful? Really? No, don't agree. I have to say I disagree.
That seems to be the reaction most people have. Santa Monicans like to stress their lack of stress.
I don't think it's a stressful suburb. Santa Monica is very laid back.
Number one on the list, another beach community, Miami Beach. A lot of people may be scratching their heads wondering, how can a place like this be considered stressful?
Well, because there are other factors at work. Movoto looked at things like commuting time, cost of living, crime rates, even divorce rates. Mix all that into one formula, and some folks say they totally see Santa Monica stressing out.
I can definitely relate to that.
That's because Ryan Carlson is a paralegal who specializes in divorce and spends hours each day in traffic getting to work here, where homes are not very affordable.
It tends to be a high revenue area, so a lot of people are working really hard and kind of on edge and worried about their finances.
I think for people who are, I guess, not as wealthy and famous as some residents of Santa Monica, it may be like a stressful suburb.
So take all these grains of sand with a big grain of salt. Living in Santa Monica may not be a walk in the park, unless you're just visiting.
I think if you lived here and worked and had to commute, it would drive you crazy. But if you're here on a relaxing day, no big deal.
In Santa Monica, Rob Hayes, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
More news straight ahead here at 8:30 and ahead tonight on Eyewitness News at 11 on ABC7. Hurricane Odile has left a trail of damage in its wake after coming ashore near Cabo. We're going to hear from people firsthand about what it was like to survive the storm. And get ready for a new season of Dancing with the Stars. We are behind the scenes with your exclusive front row pass. These stories and all the late-breaking news on Southern California's #1 late newscast, Eyewitness News at 11 on ABC7. A big celebration today at the USC campus. USC brought out the Trojan Marching Band to beat the drum for a $650 million new project. It was the groundbreaking for the new USC Village. The 15-acre village will contain on-campus housing for 2,700 students, plus a host of stores and restaurants. Completion date 2017.
All right, thanks for joining us for Eyewitness News at 8:30 on LA56.